Hey everybody, G-Bear, Homesteading the Desert. It's Saturday, May something. I'll put it down in the title, but what we're looking at here is my garden house. I did get the door on, I did that yesterday, and I didn't have 3 matching hinges, but I found another one I could use in the center just to keep it steady. And then here we have the handle, pull it open here, and I got the wires across the doorway right now. I just got a call yesterday from the farm supply that my other wire is in, but that's down in the OC, so I told them I'll pick it up ASAP. After all, they did take 2 months to get it for me. So this is almost ready to have plants put into it, and that's a good thing. This morning there was no wind blowing, and now, as you can see, the wind has picked up again. And another thing, while I'm walking over, I took a ride into town today, checked mail, and was going to pick up some groceries. But everything was shut down over in Hellendale. And there seems to be a major power outage up here in the upper desert. But everybody was down there complaining it's hot, they're sweaty, and the air conditioner's not working, the stores were all closed. And I ran into some people in the post office or in the P.O. box trailer, and they were saying, oh man, it's been out for all day, and they're talking about it not coming back on until late tonight. Well, doesn't bother me. I'm off grid. Anyway, down here, look at my buckets. I've got temporary wire on them to keep the birds from coming in and eating the greens and pulling them up. But these 5 have 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20 stalks of corn. That's the corn I sprouted. You can see them coming up down there between the wires. It was time to transplant, so they got transplanted. These are my jalapeno peppers. That's jalapeno pepper. Those are my beefsteak tomatoes. I had those big long stems on them, and I had to get those into soil, so I buried them up to where the leaves are just sticking out of the soil and see if those take. And same thing down here. I ran into a little situation where I had 1 tomato plant left, and I said, well, I'm going to stick it in a regular pot and see what happens. But I can see that the soil is already drying out on the top of that. These with the holes in them, the covers help hold the moisture in, so I have a lot less evaporation. Oh, woo! It is windy out here. The gusts of wind got to 40 miles an hour last night, and they went all through the night. And you can see it blew my pole over with the weight of the buckets on it. But I'm going to take those buckets off tomorrow and move them down into the garden shed. They're protected already, so I'm not worried about anything getting into them. And because the door will be closed on there, the ground critters like coyotes and stuff won't come over and knock them over or anything, because they can't get inside the garden shed unless they can jump 6 feet high over that aviary wire. I don't think they're going to do that. I got the stuff ready to work on the chicken coop, but I've got company coming tomorrow, so I got things that I have to do otherwise. I started cleaning off the porch, got a lot of the extra stuff off of there, and moved the little coffee table out in the middle, so we'll probably sit out here and drink our coffee tomorrow morning. And that's a nice place to set the coffee down while you need to free up your hands. All right. I switched the turbine wires over to the other controller. And you notice that even though right now the winds are gusting 22 miles an hour, averaging 14, that thing is not spinning super fast like it was before. It actually seems like it's under pressure, so I think that's the brakes that are being put on by that other controller. It's an MPPT controller, and I think it's working okay. I'm going to have to get a gauge on there and see what kind of output I'm getting and go from there. I still want to upgrade that to a 1680 watt KT5. That's a bigger propeller and a bigger unit. And this one maxes out at 400 watts. Well, that's what they said, but I've never seen it go over 300 watts. But the 1680 will actually be a much better unit, because I understand in an 8-mile-an-hour wind, and we're getting 14 here, in an 8-mile-an-hour wind, that 1680 watt system will put out 800 watts. So that's double or more than double what this one's supposed to be rated for in a slower wind. And that'll keep all my power up to max, and I'll be able to add a deep freezer out here, so forth and so on. And since the wind blows all night long, when the sun goes down, that 1680 will take over the full charging system and keep my batteries all up at peak. I'll have a lot of extra electricity. I'll run my wires across to my water heater and let the extra electricity dump into the water heater. All right, that's about it, everybody. I did go over and I pulled up one of the garden boxes over there, the big one, and I used some of that compost that was still there. I scraped it all up into a pile, and I used some of that in the bottoms of my grow buckets over here. So nothing went to waste. Look at those big puffy clouds over there, some nice cumulus clouds. That's over Barstow, I guess. And I don't know, weird weather. G-Bear signing off.